Hi YouTube, this is going to be my Shannara Chronicles review of the first 4 episodes. Shannara Chronicles is a new MTV special that is, or MTV show that is showing on MTV. It's based on this season at least, and probably the show in on itself, because at this point I'm not entirely sure if the fans of the Shannara Chronicles are going to like the fans of the books are going to like this very much. So the first season is based on this bad boy right here. And this is also coincidentally my favorite Shannara book. So let me just come out and say, from what I've seen so far, are these episodes as good? Is the show as good as this book? We're about... Shit, the first 4 episodes pretty much covered the first 100 pages of this book, novel thing, I think. Yeah. Anyway, but, they have my problem with the... Let me get this, out of the way. If it was its own standalone show and wasn't riding the coattails of this, it would actually be a pretty solid show. It's a really good fantasy. Go MTV. MTV needed to boost its ratings with something that was actually good. And if you've never read the Shannara anything before, if you've never read any one of Terry Brooks's Shannara World, you're probably gonna like the show. If you have read the book, however, there are a couple of things in there that kind of made me go, you didn't need to change that. Because there are certain parts of this world that are very, how do I put this? They're very important to the rest of the novels, and they started out in here, and then in the previous book that they're not really talking about, they'll probably do a couple of flashbacks. At least that's what I was told. They were going to do a couple of Sword of Shannara flashbacks, but sorry, I've been sick. But the book as a whole, or the show as a whole, they added a few things that are okay, like every time a leaf, just so you know, this is spoiler heavy, so if you don't like spoilers, go away. Most of the people who watch this have probably already read the books, so shoo. If you don't want spoilers, go read the books and then go watch the show and then go, whoa, that wasn't what I read. Anyway, but one of the things that, I didn't have a problem with was the falling of the leaves turning into demons. One of the things that I did have a problem with was the contest to become one of the chosen, because that wasn't how Amberly was chosen, and there is nothing in... There is a feminist brouhaha going on in this show that makes me want to smack Terry Brooks for allowing it to happen. One of the things is, instead of how, yes, women, both girls and boys who come of age in the elven world pass under the tree, that's what happens in the books, they pass under the tree, and the ones who the tree have decided to choose will get touched by the tree branch, and the ones who don't just keep on walking. That's how it's done in the book world. In this world, they have a running race contest thing that you have to train for and all of that, and I'm kind of like, no, that doesn't... that actually goes against the elven culture as a whole, and that's one of the huge problems I had with the first episode when I watched it. And the other thing that I had with the first episode was this whole Flicken, I think Flick was... no, I can't remember if Flick was there or not, but Shay Almsford dying, or being dead for several years, and then his mother dying after him. That is not what happened. That is not Will Almsford's parental past at all. His father was still alive. His father was sick at the beginning of the book, and Will was already in Storlock learning to become a healer when Al-Anon found him, and Flick, his uncle, or his god uncle, actually, was visiting him because, Flick, his uncle, was visiting him. That's what happened. And Flick was very, very much against Al-Anon. Flick was there during the entire meeting between Will and Al-Anon, and Al-Anon was the one who gave Will the Elfstones. Al-Anon already had them. So that was actually one of the backstory issues and beginning issues that I had with the first episode, and that kind of made me want to pull my hair out, because I was going, no, you did not need to change that. And actually, it would have made more sense for Will's character, for Will to have already been in Storlock healing people and doing good things and stuff like that. Like being apprenticed under the gnomes. The nice gnomes. Not the mean ones, the nice ones. So the fact that they did not do that was very jarring for me, and I was not expecting that. And it just made me go, eh. Now, as for the actors who portray their characters, how do I feel about Eritrea? I'm not entirely sure how I feel about Eritrea's actress just yet. She seems like she is a good actress, but there's just something about her that I'm not okay with for some weird reason. And it doesn't have anything to do with the way she looks, because she does look like Eritrea. Well, let me rephrase that. Her face and hair look like Eritrea. Her costume, on the other hand, is a no-no, because that is not how Eritrea looked in the book. But again, there's that, but we're talking about actors. So I'm not entirely, however, her acting for Eritrea, just because you look like a character doesn't mean you are the character, and I'm still not entirely sure I'm sold on her just yet. Amberly, yes. If I could probably read Elfstones again and picture this actress as Amberly, and it would make complete and total sense. She is fine as Amberly. The actor who plays Will, same thing. He's definitely a Will Almsford. He delivers very Will-ish lines. I say Will-ish because they cut out half of the book Will's backstory, the Will that the book readers are all familiar with. There are just some actions that aren't consistent with the character we know that happen in the show that kind of make us go, well, you're Will-ish. You're kind of Will, but you're not quite Will. Like, Will sleeping with Eritrea, just so you know, that never happens in the book. That doesn't happen at all in the book. They completely embellished that just to get videos. That was typical MTV fan servicing right there. And they were trying to probably make it a lot more like Game of Thrones. Like Game of Thrones for young people, which, no, stop. Even Tyna Lesidel, or the Alesidels in general, who are Amberly. The Alesidel men. Yes, thank you very much. Yes, they are definitely their characters. Except Ander. I don't know what they were thinking when they wrote Ander. It's let me put it this way. Arianne Alesidel and Ander Alesidel. Switch them. And that is probably what you have in the books. Except, I will say this, Arianne Alesidel, he is definitely as arrogant here in the show as he is in the books. Good job. One of the things, again, the continuity of the story, which I don't know why they screwed it up, but they had to, apparently, just because they're stupid. Amberly's mom was an Alesidel. Amberly's father was not. Amberly's father died, I think, before Amberly Alessadell lived, or was born. And so she ended up having her mother's name instead of her father's name because that was just a family choice. If I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've read the book. It's been a year since I've read the book. Yeah. And between that, I've been busy. Anyway, so and that's kind of how I remember. If maybe it was her father, all I remember though is that she is the daughter of a younger crowd. She is not the daughter of an older crowd. She was not the daughter of the heir. She was the daughter of a younger heir who was not in line for the throne unless the older two died. Either way, that was the case. Now, were the actors good? Yes, the actors were definitely good. I just wish they were playing their characters and not MTV's version of the characters, which were not in there. Eventide, however, that was definitely Eventide. Our Gimli's an elf now. That was funny. When I saw that casting announcement, I was just like, ooh. The jokes from the Lord of the Rings and the Shannara fans are going to be great indeed. And I've been seeing them around. So, and I'm sure we'll see more, hopefully, if the show actually starts feeling like Elfstones of Shannara instead of MTV trying to do Elfstones of Shannara. Again, that's the problem. And anyway, let me continue with the cast. Manu Bennett as Alanon. Yes. I have to say, out of all of the characters that they could have gotten wrong, they at least got Alanon right. They got Alanon spot on right. Like, he was right. Now, some certain aspects of his immediate past, not right. But the character as a whole, the way he is, it's definitely in the books, and I can read this book and picture Manu Bennett as Alanon, and it wouldn't be too much of an issue. I don't get the runic tattoos on his body. That wasn't Alanon, but whatever. Let's see. Those are pretty much the people who are important, who actually have a part to play in the book. They have a couple of things that were added that weren't in the book at all. Like, everything. Pretty much the plot of Sword of Shannara is there. Unfortunately, there's a lot of certain small detail aspects of the plot that actually probably needed to be in there. I'm not saying everything needed to be in there. I get that every adaptation can't always follow the books completely. Now, I'm going to say this. This is not Game of Thrones. You can't just embellish the heck out of it because there is either too much or too little known, or the author hasn't finished the immediate series yet. Terry Brooks, Sword, Elfstones, and Wishsong. Those were published long before George R.R. Martin ever started writing Game of Thrones. Long before. Terry Brooks has been around for a while. He has several books. Many books. Like, honestly, he could probably end the series and it would be fine. We would have at least 20 books involving Shannara, and if you ever needed a Shannara fix, you could just marathon the 20 books and it'd be great. I mean, seriously, that is Terry Brooks' world. So why MTV decided to drastically change it, I don't know. Again, is it a good fantasy dystopian adventure? Yes, it is. It is. With, like, evil demons and all of that. It's a good adventure, but it's not Elfstones, and that's the problem. And that's what I think a lot of people who, like me, who have read the books, I grew up with the books. Like, not as they were writing. I started reading them when I was in high school. Trust me when I say this. The show is jarring for book readers. We're like, what did we just see? Anyway, so we'll see how this goes, and I hope they don't completely screw it up. I really do. MTV, come on, you need this, or else if you screw up a beloved book series, which you kind of already have, you're going to go down and probably just, you're going to stop being MTV. You are going to die as a channel. People are going to stop watching you. If they haven't already. And again, MTV, they needed this. They needed this series to be good. And if they can't make it better, if they can't make the book lovers happy, then we have a problem. Or they have a problem. We don't have a problem because we can just complain to Terry Brooks and he'll probably grunt for a little while and say, well, blah, blah, blah. And then we'd say, no, you have creative license to this. You could have completely made sure they stayed on track. You could have written some of the episodes, but no, I mean, and he might just finally say, okay, we'll do something else. Like a movie, like, this is Elfstones, it's not that complicated of a plot. You could cut this into a movie if you really needed to. Sword, I can see that being a 3-movie Lord of the Rings-esque series, even though it's only 1 book, but it feels, when you read it, it's Lord of the Rings with different people. That's Sword, which is probably why they decided to do Elfstones instead, because that's not Lord of the Rings. That is decidedly not Lord of the Rings. And it's very different, and Elfstones is his niche. Elfstones is also his best book, and to have MTV screw up his best book, or screw up the visual interpretation of his best book, I'm not saying I don't like the show. Again, I said, the show is good if you haven't read the book. Unfortunately, if you've read the book, it's not a good adaptation. There is a difference between a good TV show and a good adaptation. This is not a good adaptation. And that's the problem a lot of book readers are going to have with it. So, we'll see how it goes. I hope you guys enjoyed my rant, because this is like essentially what it turned into, a rant. Enjoy it. Like the video, subscribe, or don't, or comment and disagree with me. You feel free to disagree with me politely. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and fingers crossed about the rest of this series. Bye!